What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. So for this installment, or for this video, it's going to actually be a three-part video. I am going to name this series Before, During, and After. And I got inspired to do this video topic because over on TikTok, I always get questions about I'm newly credentialed, or I'm thinking about going to school for medical coding, or I am in school. What should I do? It's always, what should I do? Either I'm thinking about how do I research a school to go to, or I am newly credentialed, I can't find a job. What can I do? Or I'm in school. What can I do right now to help me to better find a job? Because I keep hearing how hard it is to find a job once you become credentialed. So this is my attempt to help, to alleviate some of that anxiety about either trying to find the right school to go to, or while you're in school, what else can you be doing to help optimize your chances to be successful at getting a career or getting a position when you're done with your exam, or after you are newly credentialed. What should you do after you received your certification? So the first video is entitled Research. So if you are wondering what you should do, if you are interested in becoming a medical coder, you have no idea what program you should take, then this video is for you. So keep watching. Okay, I have my notes here. So, part one of this series that I am titled Before, During, and After. This is the before. So, I am going to be working while I'm talking to you guys. I have to multitask. Before you even think about getting into medical coding, I would suggest that you research the different school programs that's out there. There's so many ways for you to get into this profession, and you have lots of options. You can either do teacher-based study, classroom-led. You could do self-paced. You could do online module studying. You could do community college studying. You can do bachelor's degree studying. It's so many different programs. There are workforce programs, meaning like programs like in different cities that, want to get the workforce or help the citizens of the city be gainfully employed. So they will sponsor, programs. It's not in every city, but there are some programs out there that'll, help you get into medical coding and billing. So you want to research what options you have available. I'll give you the experience that I went through, how I received my medical coding credential, but I do know you have options. So first off is to research the schools that you are interested in, the different models. Let's talk about it. The model that I went through is I paid for my schooling myself, and I researched what came up a lot in the job descriptions. A lot of job descriptions required you to have a certification through AAPC or a HEMA. And so that's the route that I took. I actually talked to my manager that I was working for at the time, and she was more familiar with AAPC. So, and when I Googled medical coding and billing, AAPC was the top choice that came up. So it kind of aligned. Like I was like, oh, okay. When I was ready to study for my program, I actually took my tax return and invested in myself. I took my tax return and I paid for the self-paced program with AAPC. Once I paid for it, about a week later, they sent me my books. The same day I got access to the classroom work, the online self-paced study classroom work. And I just kind of self-paced studied for about a year and a half for my medical coding certification. I also purchased 2 attempts to take the test. And within the purchase of my studies, also came a membership my first years, or my first 2 years. I think it was my first year, membership fees. So all that was covered when I paid for my exam and my classroom work. So that's how I did it. I do know people that have gone the community college route. So your local community college will usually have, a program that's like medical coding or billing, or even your technical schools will have programs related to medical coding and billing. And you will have to attend class either online or on site. They will teach you, the curriculum of the book. And then you will take, like a test with them to say that you have learned or you're competent in the subject of medical coding and billing. And then you will still have to apply to take your test through AAPC. If you decide to go the community college route or any other route besides going through AAPC or HEMA, I would suggest that you inquire if they work with those entities, AAPC or HEMA, like is that cost of the exam included in your fees that you're paying to the school? Because if they are included, then you know that they more than likely are working with those organizations, at least one of those organizations for your credential, and they are teaching the curriculum that will allow you to be able to sit for the exam and pass it successfully. And hopefully if they charge you a tuition fee, that they include that in the exam in the tuition fee. If they don't, that's totally fine too. You would just have to make sure that you understand that, so that you won't be surprised that you will have to also pay for your exam once you're done with the class. So that's just one thing that I would just make sure. Just make sure that your exam is covered. If it's not covered, like I say, it's totally cool. But you want to not be surprised that once you pass the class successfully, that there's still other costs that you will have to incur in order to get your credential. The same caveat goes with technical schools. There are technical schools that offer medical coding and billing. Make sure their curriculum is in line with either AAPC or HEMA, and that if they are charging you, that they are also including your exam. If they're not including your exam, again, that's fine. Just be aware that you will still have to pay for your exam once you pass the class. You also have the option of taking like a university, like a medical coding and billing or health information management through a university. Usually that's, in association more with a HEMA. So more than likely you will get a bachelor's in health information management or something similar. And you will obtain a RHIT or RHIA credential. Most cases. So check with that. If that's what you're receiving, that's great, because those are HEMA credentials, and you will be equipped to understand the concepts of medical coding and billing. I have not taken that program, so I don't know the ins and outs of that, but I do know that if you have a RHIT, RHIA, jobs are looking for that. So that is a good one to go through a HEMA. If you also want to have like a CCS or a CCA through a HEMA, just ask about that. Ask am I also being prepared for a medical coding certification and how that all works, because a CCS and CCA is for the medical coding component. RHIT and RHIA is usually like the management. Like you probably won't have hands-on coding, but you're getting your bachelor's, so you're probably being prepared to be, in some kind of leadership role. So that's point number one. Just find a school that teaches you the curriculum and that also has something to do with the exam. Number two, I would talk to someone when you're researching what medical coding and billing is all about and you are not familiar with this field. You need to talk to someone that's already in this field. Ask as many questions as you can ask that you can think of, Try to get a feel of what the day-to-day is. Try to get a feel of how hard it is. Try to get a feel of the type of personalities that that particular person or persons may think that this role is fit for. Ask about the day in the life of that person's job duties. Each coder has different responsibilities. Each specialties have different nuances. So it would be ideal if you can find, if you already know what type of specialty you're interested in coding. But if you're just researching, you probably won't even know the answer to that question. So, you know, if you can find as many different types of coders as possible to try to get a feel of, you know, what a behavioral health coder do on a daily basis, what a urology coder do on a daily basis, what a dermatology coder do on a daily basis, what a obstetrics coder do on a daily basis, what a cardiology coder do on a daily basis. You know, like if you could talk to different coders and get different, you know, feels of a day in the life of, that would be perfect. So just make sure that you talk to someone in the industry to see how much they love their job, and that will be real helpful when you're researching to get into this field. Number 3, research job openings. You want to go and research the market so you can see like what kind of jobs is out there, what the pay is like in your area, what types of job settings is out there. So in our field, we go from working on site to working at home to working a hybrid field to working a contract. So make sure that you understand the types of jobs that's out there. What is in line with what you desire at the moment? Do you desire to stay at home? Do you see any jobs that are offering, you know, work from home or remote positions for entry-level coders? Do you see any jobs out there that requires you to be on site for a little while and then transition to home? Do you see jobs out there that is more hybrid or on site, or will contract work better for you? Do you want to work in a hospital? Do you want to work in a clinic? Do you want to work with an insurance company? Do you want to work with a billing agency? So just try to research the job openings. Take note of what the duties are. Take notes of the types of skills they are asking. Take notes of the type of organizations they want their coders to have. Just take notes of the different things and see if you could see a theme. And I would just take notes, write it down, like the thing, okay, in these jobs, I see that a lot of jobs are asking for, you know, computer skills, organizational skills, research skills, CPT codes, HCPC codes. A lot of jobs are asking for a HEMA. A lot of jobs are asking for AAPC. A lot of jobs want a CPC. A lot of jobs want a COC. A lot of jobs want a CCS. So just take notes of things like that that you see reoccurring when you're looking at researching jobs. My last tip for the before, when you're researching becoming a medical coder, is to make sure you have your prereqs covered. So when you become a medical coder, you will need to be familiar with anatomy, physiology, disease processes, and medical terminology. Make sure you understand these areas, these subjects, before you get into medical coding, because you will need them. Your job mainly is to read medical notes that providers write. Providers write in terms of medical terminology. Providers come to their diagnosis conclusion based on disease processes and anatomy and physiology. When you're reading op reports, you have to know the different anatomical planes. You have to understand the different terms and, you know, like processes that doctors, providers learn in medical school. So you need to be familiar with that too. So if you don't have a good grasp of medical terminology, you don't have a good grasp of anatomy and physiology, you don't have a good grasp of disease processes, you need to brush up on that stuff. So a good thing, I have books on my bookshelf that has medical terminology, that has exploring the language of medicines. I also keep workbooks like this to help me to stay, abreast of medical terminologies. It's good to have Google. It's good to have a medical dictionary around. So you need to have your prereqs covered, because you will be using that every day on your job. So if you, like, I heard one medical coder say, if you don't have Google up when you're working, when you're coding, then you're doing it wrong. And I agree, because you're not going to remember everything. You're not going to know everything. But at least if you understand medical terminologies, they use a lot of prefixes and suffixes, that if you know the meanings of them, you kind of know what the provider is doing or what they're talking about. You may just need to get confirmation of it. So if you Google the words or Google the phrases, you will understand better what's going on in the medical notes. So you need those. So I hope this helps you, in your research for your medical coding schools. So again, just to recap, we talked about how to research different school settings. If you want a self-paced, if you want a instructor-led class, or if you want a module-led class, if you want on-site or off-site, the most important thing is to make sure they're preparing you for an exam, either through AAPC or HEMA. And if that exam is covered, if it's not covered, that's cool. Just understand that there may be an additional fee, there will be an additional fee to take the exam if it's not included in the fees for you learning at the school that you choose. Also, number 2 would be to talk to someone that's in the industry. Pick their brain, ask as many questions as you could think of about what medical coding is, what do they do, how does their day entail, the work schedule, how things of that nature. Whatever you could think of, if you're brand new to medical coding, talk to someone. Number 3, research job openings. We talked about how to look at job openings to see what skills that, particular jobs are looking for, what schools they're looking for, the types of programs they're looking for you to be familiar with. And last but not least, number 4, make sure you have your prereqs covered, meaning your anatomy and physiology, your disease processes, and your medical terminology. If you don't have that covered, you're going to struggle when it comes to abstracting codes. And so you need to make sure that you somehow, some way get that covered. If you're going through AAPC, they do have a prereq course for, anatomy and for medical terminology. Otherwise, you can self-study, get workbooks, get flashcards, stuff like that to help you to learn, how to get those prereqs done. So if you have any questions, definitely comment below and let me know, and I will be happy to assist you. And, make sure that you just find a school that is the best fit for you in your lifestyle. So until the next video.